Okay, I'd like to do a quick review on this 2005 Suzuki GS500F. I've had this bike for about, I don't know, 2 months. I've put about just over 1,000 miles on it. Been riding since '93. It's 2012 right now, so what's that, about 20 years? I've owned tons of motorcycles. All different shapes and sizes. Kind of settled in onto the smaller displacement. The reason I like the smaller displacement is that I do a lot of commuting and I enjoy the good gas mileage, and smaller bikes I find are a lot easier to handle. I know this bike is often considered a beginner's bike or a girl's bike. That's not necessarily true. I wouldn't listen to everything you hear from people unless you're one of those people that thinks that size really matters. That's up to you. This is the F model, and as far as I can figure out, the F stands for fairing. So this bike is basically the same as the GS500s that have been around for a long time, that are more of a standard upright bike. These bikes are getting harder and harder to find. I really don't make any newer ones like that. But I did find that the Suzuki GS500 is the most affordable upright, smaller displacement motorcycle that someone taller like myself, 6 foot, over 200 pounds. The bike fits me fine. It doesn't look too small, it doesn't feel too small. Oh, I think I'll start by giving you the cons that I've had with this bike. There's definitely a lack of power. Big difference between the Suzuki GS 600 and the Suzuki GS500. The biggest difference is not the 100 cc's, it's the fact that the GS 600s or the GSX or GSR, whatever they're called, I think they're GSRs, are 4-cylinder motorcycles. This is a 2-cylinder motorcycle. So this motorcycle does not have that feeling you get with the 600s. I owned a GS750E in 1982, and pretty quiet, tame bike, but boy, when you get up into the 8,000 RPMs, the engine would come alive, and you definitely feel that horsepower. This bike does not have that sort of threshold where it feels like the engine's coming alive. Pretty, I don't know, pretty round power curve, or the power band is not so exciting on this bike. Doesn't mean it's boring, just means that it's not really that great. So it does have a lack of power. One of the main problems I had when I purchased it, the gentleman I bought it from, single owner bike, the guy was a professional bicyclist, wanted to get into motorcycling, bought a bike he thought was a good beginner's bike, so he took care of it, and I got lucky with that. But it wouldn't idle properly, and we thought that it was the carburetor. Maybe had some ethanol gunk in it or varnish in the jets. Not the case. After working with the second mechanic to get the bike running properly, I found that the exhaust valves needed to be re-shimmed. So the bike was idling improperly because of the exhaust valves. I have heard people say that the valves do need adjusting in these bikes. Some bikes I found don't hardly ever need the valves adjusted, and Honda even has self-adjusting valves, but this bike does need you to keep an eye on the valves. I just say that so that you know what's going on with your bike if you own one, or what to expect if you purchase one. It wasn't that expensive though. The guy fixed it for me at a really good price. So the other flaw with the bike, or con, is the suspension. The front forks are very soft. Now they're not bouncy like they need to be replaced, they're just soft. It has standard forks. It does not have inverted forks like many of these sport bikes that you find out there. So it has standard motorcycle forks. I think when the I think when the fork springs need to be replaced, or when when they leak, I'll probably get either thicker fork springs or definitely a thicker oil, because for me, I find that they're a little bit too soft you can bottom out if you head into a driveway too quickly. And now on to the good stuff. This motorcycle gets awesome gas mileage. The best I've gotten is 63 miles to the gallon, and I think the worst I've gotten is about 53. It all depends on how you ride it. It does have a 6-speed transmission, so that definitely makes up for some of the lack of power. It's great on the highway in 6th gear. I don't really go that fast, but if I ever want to do 80 or 90, which I do on rare occasion, no problems at all. So they say the top speed's 105. Some people say more, some people say less. I have no doubts it would do 105 at least. It also looks really good. I mean, for not being a sport bike, except to the fact that it looks like a sports bike, pretty sharp. I think Suzuki did a really good job, especially with the front headlight design. I like that a lot. And the bike cost very little. I got this bike with about 6,300 miles on it, $1,800. So I was very happy with that price. You really can't get a whole lot of motorcycles for $1,800 that are 2005 and this clean. I also really like the center stand. Doing maintenance on a motorcycle is so much better with the center stand. As you can see, it also has the standard side stand, but the center stand is pretty awesome for anything from changing oil to putting air in the tires, rotate the tires so the valves will be where you want them. You don't have to fool around with it too much. You can get a listen to what it is like. Stock pipe, you can turn the choke on. I better set the camera down because you got to pull the clutch in to make this thing start. Usually when it's not fully warm, it'll idle at about 11 or 1200 RPMs. Once you've been riding for a little while, about 20 minutes, it will idle at about 1400 RPMs. Haven't lost any oil out of this bike since I've owned it. Did an oil change and the oil level stayed pretty consistent, so it's really nice to know it's pretty tight. No blue or white coming out of the exhaust pipe. And modifications. I haven't done any heavy mods to this bike, but I did make a few. The first thing I did was put a set of handlebars on here that are from a Banshee quad, 7/8. They fit pretty well, not a whole lot of problem. I wouldn't go any higher though because the cabling isn't really that forgiving, so it's pretty much tight on the cabling. So if you want to go any higher with the bars, be careful you don't go too high. If the bars weren't given to me for free, I probably would have gotten about 1 or 2 inch bar risers, or the adapters that fit in here. I probably would have lifted the stock bars about 2 inches. Seems to be a lot more comfortable for me, a lot easier on the wrist. The other thing I did was put on these Nelson Rig saddlebags. Well, these are just some standard saddlebags that have plenty of storage. There is no rack on this bike, so as far as in here, there's not really any kind of rack holding it. These bags tend to keep their position pretty well, so I'm happy with them. The other thing I did in order to get the bags the way they are, the turn signals used to be right in here. I did have to move them down to here to clear the bags without any problems. When I did that, they were kind of facing towards each other because the fender has a natural curve to it, so I had to make a bracket here to hold the turn signals closer together. Just used a threaded rod and some sheet metal. Worked out really well. Now when I first got the bike, the guy who owned it before me did do the fender modification, or many people would just cut the fender off right here. And fortunately for me, the guy bought a stock fender, gave it to me with the bike. So when I was thinking of how to relocate the turn signals, I put the stock fender back on and moved them down. So that was a good modification. I really couldn't give this bike a 10 out of 10 just based on the fact it's a 500cc motorcycle. But if you're looking for a commuter, I guess I'd say like a beginner's bike with regard to the fact that it's not going to toss you. You really would have to know how to ride a wheelie to get the front end up on this thing. Great commuting bike. Weekends I take rides between 150 and 200 miles with some friends. No problem. Easy to do. I don't have to hit a gas station or anything. I would highly suggest that if you're interested in getting one of these bikes and you're 6 foot tall and have experience riding, I don't know, it really won't disappoint you. At this price, at the price range I should say for this bike, I would hesitate to buy one from maybe a teenager or someone in the early 20s that was hoping to get a racing bike and is selling it because it's not, because I've seen a couple of these bikes that are really just beat up and people trying to push it to limits that it just won't attain. But as far as a general business motorcycle, it's a really good one. Thanks for watching.